Hi, everyone, and welcome to another TCS Live with the Canadian Schoolhouse. My name is Christine, and joining me today is Peter Stock from HSLDA.ca, uh, HSLDA Canada, I should say. That's just in case you wanted to know the website. And we've had him on here before, and he is such a wealth of resources and knowledge on the homeschooling um, community, I should say. And welcome for thank you for joining us, Peter.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And yeah, and why don't you, before we go further, just tell us a little bit about you and how you're involved with HSLDA and all of the things that you do.
Sure. So I lead the organization, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. We're a national organization across Canada. We've been serving homeschooling families for more than 30 years now. We were founded at a time when homeschooling kind of fell into a gray area in the law. It wasn't necessarily legal
Mhm.
or perhaps illegal, depending where you were. Homeschooling families at that time really faced challenges from various governments and legislatures and school board officials and so on. And so a group of families got together, hired a lawyer to defend their rights. And so 30 years, more than 30 years later now, homeschooling is legal in all 10 provinces, all three territories across Canada.
That's awesome. And this is so good to know, especially now with there's this influx of people coming um, out of the public system and into this homeschooling world. And so we have just come out of convention season, and I know myself and Steph, we have both. We were involved in some of them around Canada here, and so we know that you have been present in most of them, if not all. And so it was such a unique experience. This was my first big live convention, so I was quite excited to participate and just get to know and meet the homeschooling community in that um, space. And so, why don't you tell us some of your experiences were?
Sure. Yeah. So this was really an exciting year because for 3 years it was
Yes.
either impossible or very challenging to hold a conference, as we all
Mhm.
know. Last year there were some small conferences held, but this is the first year we're back to the full scale conferences and hotels and convention facilities and so on. And so it was great to see so many people coming out for these events, and some of the biggest happen in, as you would imagine, in the bigger provinces like Alberta and Ontario and
Mhm.
even Manitoba, Saskatchewan. And so this year I was I guess I was at conferences in 7 provinces, and some of them more than once. It certainly is a very busy spring for us. Yeah, the exciting thing is the numbers that we saw prior to COVID in terms of attendance at these conferences. Uh, it's pretty stable. We're seeing the same levels of attendance in
Mhm.
2023 that we saw prior to COVID, and
Mhm.
uh, and so people are coming out again. They're being encouraged. They're networking. They're learning good new information. They're getting curriculum, talking to the curriculum vendors, and so on. So yeah, it's great to see conferences happening again for sure.
Mhm. And from my personal experience, I found a lot of them were uh, moms just reaching out, just asking those questions. Like I'm making this decision to homeschool, but I'm scared and I'm not sure how. And so it was so good that we had these opportunities so that they can connect, yes, with vendors, and ask the questions about curriculum, but also to connect with organizations like HSLDA to answer those tough questions about getting started and how, like, where I am and what I need to get started. The the world out there will try to tell you, oh well, you need XYZ, and you got to put this piece of paper, and you're here to tell them that it's okay, you got this, and we can help you step by step. And so it was great that we can all come together and offer these new homeschoolers the hope that they can go ahead and do this with confidence. It doesn't have to be a big scary step. um, like they think it is. So um, you've got another big one. I actually got the email today about the national convention that is happening in Alberta. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Sure. This is another conference that happened annually before all the trouble of the last few years, and so it's back on again. So we're excited about that. Our national conference is it's not so much a how-to homeschool
Mm-hmm.
conference as it is
Okay.
a chance for homeschooling families to be encouraged, for them to hear what's happening in the movement right across Canada, hear about new developments, and really have a chance to network with other homeschoolers. So people who attend this conference, whether they're just getting started in homeschooling or whether they've been doing it for 20 years, they come away encouraged, with renewing old friendships, making lots of new friendships, and it's really a great time. We also have a youth program that's associated with the national conference, so teens are welcome as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
and I should
so,
just mention the
yeah,
website is, for those who are looking for it, who are interested, cche.ca, and the conference happens September 28th to September 30th, Thursday,
yeah,
Friday, Saturday.
we've got it there in the comments in case you're looking for it. So,
Great, thank you.
and so what would you say is the biggest thing in this movement that's happening right now? Like, what are you seeing coming
Right.
across?
Well, this sort of relates a little bit to the problems of the last year, and it also relates to what I think a lot of us are seeing in the publicly funded school system, which is
Mhm.
struggling, perhaps through lowered academic standards, maybe lack of safety, ideology, and lots of other challenges. I think we all know what they are. Um, a lot of parents are just looking for alternatives. So, one of the
Mhm.
alternatives, of course, some go to is private schools. That's expensive, and not everybody can
Mhm.
afford that. Others are looking at what are called teaching pods or learning pods, and in some places, those are something that people have experimented with. But of course, the ideal, in a sense, is home education if you can do it. If one of the parents in a family is available to commit that kind of time to their
Mhm.
children, then home education is by far and away the best option, we would say, because children are getting that one-on-one instruction. They're learning in an environment where they're loved and cared for, and their individual needs are being met. Their strengths are being encouraged, and where they have weaknesses academically or otherwise, parents are there to help them along the way. So we see home
Mhm.
education as really the ideal if a family can do it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, we're that's what we're here for too, to just encourage those of you who may be watching and you may be thinking, oh, maybe I should be doing this homeschooling thing. You can do it, and we promise you that it's going to be the best decision you can make for your family. And it's not just about academics. It's about like we love this. We stand by Proverbs 22 verse 6. Train up the child in the way he should go, um, so that when he is old, he will not depart from it. And that doesn't include just math and English, and those things are important, and we need those to survive in this world. But there's so many other things like character training, character building, um, biblical knowledge, all of that stuff um, that shape who our children become. And so, what a wonderful privilege and benefit to our kids for us to be the ones to pour into them, because we know them the best, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got so many homeschooling stories that you can share as well as a homeschooling dad.
Yeah. Well, on that point in particular, most parents don't think of home education as something that they can do automatically, but in
Yeah,
fact, every parent home educates from the time a child is essentially born.
born.
The
Yeah,
first, 5 years of a child's life, we're teaching a child to talk and to walk and to use the potty and all those great things. How
that's
to get
right.
along with other people. Some of the most important lessons that a child learns in life are taught during those first 5 years before any of the so-called formal education starts. And so what I would say to many parents who are feeling a little bit cautious about home education, if they have children in that young age category, just recognize that you have brought them this far already. And it's probably not that challenging to take them, let's say, another few months or a year. And so maybe to try it. Don't necessarily, not
Yeah.
parents don't have to feel like they have to commit to the next 10 to 15 years of a child's education. They can take it year by year. And,
Yeah.
they can probably handle educating a 5-year-old. And then they can see how
It's
it goes.
true.
They can evaluate at the end of it.
It's true. And each child, and I've read in some of the groups that I'm a part of, some people, it works for one child, and the other child, it just doesn't work, and you've got to adjust. But the great thing about homeschooling is that, you're not doing it a specific way. So the way you teach one child is not going to be the exact same way you teach your second child or your third child, or how many children you have. You can adjust, you can be flexible, especially with curriculum. So much curriculum out there, that you can choose from. So many different teaching styles that we're discovering and learning about. And so, um, yeah, if you're a parent, you are equipped to educate your children. We love pointing that out. um yeah, it's so encouraging to just know that, it's you don't have to have a teaching degree to do this, because you are already equipped to educate your child.
Exactly. And the academic research backs up this point exactly. It's been studied. Do children who are homeschooled by a parent who has a teaching certificate do better or worse than those who are homeschooled by a parent who does not have a teaching certificate? And the answer is they come out the same.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting that we are, without any special training, we are equipped to educate our children.
And I noticed, when I was talking with a few of the moms at the convention that I was at, many of them were pulling their kids out because, of bullying, or of, learning disabilities and such. And so they were worried, they didn't want to keep them in that setting, that public setting, where they weren't going to get the support. And so, again, keeping them home in that safe environment, you're giving your child the best possible way to learn, without the added pressures of trying to fit in, and, following along a specific agenda, and, bullying and all of that stuff. You avoid all of that by keeping them home.
Exactly. Yeah,
So.
and I'll mention, just on the topic of special needs in particular, many parents who have children with special needs and withdraw them from an institutional setting and start to give them that one-on-one instruction often find their kids thrive. The
Mhm.
children with special needs in particular thrive because, again, like you say, they're now in a completely safe environment, free from bullying,
Right.
and they're getting that one-on-one attention that they probably need even more than children who do not have a particular learning challenge of one sort or another. And our organization, HSLDA, for those who join or who are members now, we actually offer free consultation every year with a special needs
Mhm.
consultant who can help
That's right.
parents who have kids with special needs find access to the resources, to any resources they may need to help with meeting the challenges, the learning challenges their child has.
Mhm. While we're on the topic, why don't you just tell, some of the other benefits of being an HSLDA member? Because I am one, and I'm still finding out other things that, through the emails and stuff that I get. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. So why don't we just, tell
Yeah, I'll
a
try and hit some of the highlights. So,
uh,
the first and foremost, of course, is access to legal help if you
yeah,
ever need it. Now, the good news is most parents probably will not need access to a lawyer for a serious challenge at any point during their homeschool career. But if you do, the price of membership is a bargain. The cost of a lawyer, if you have to defend yourself against a challenge from a school board or a social worker, can be tremendous. And of course, we find that the vast majority of parents who do face these challenges, we're never expecting them. They're doing a great job, potentially,
Course. Yeah.
but somebody makes an anonymous complaint, or school board, overreaches a little, let's say, and our lawyer is able to help with those problems quite quickly. So that's number one, and that's the most important. But we also offer access to insurance, affordable insurance for group activities. So if your support group or co-op is doing sports, or holding an event, or just meeting in a church basement and needs liability insurance, we provide access to that. Student and teacher ID cards are another thing that we can provide at a modest charge. And one of the things that I'm most excited about, in addition to all the advice and other consulting services we provide, including that special needs consultant and curriculum consulting, and if people are going to homeschool through high school and so on, we can help with, we can assist or give advice on that. But one of the things I'm most excited about is our digital library. So we have over 3,000 ebooks, another 500 audiobooks, and these can be a supplement to your home education. There are books on how to home educate. We've got a full in there, special needs, Canadian history, French as a second language, and all sorts of just great fun reading for kids, so of all ages. So if you're finding that the public library doesn't always have what you're looking for, or maybe is filled with garbage, as sometimes they are, this is an alternative. This is a place to find some wholesome books, good reading for all ages and all ability levels.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the library that we have nearest to us is not much of a library, so I do appreciate resources like this. And I'm a member, so I get access to it.
Wonderful.
So excited about that. And so we're talking about, the growth and activity in the homeschooling movement, and um, it's growing not just in Canada but worldwide. And even through our company, we are seeing, people like growth in, countries like the Philippines and India and all around the world. And so this is really exciting. And so you are also involved in some of these international conventions and conferences. And so tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, I'm happy to. First of all, on the growth question, I should mention some numbers, because
Sure. Yeah.
we do sort of follow what's happening across the country in each province, and it's fair to say that homeschooling numbers have basically doubled over the last few years in Canada. Maybe not surprising to most of us, but that's the reality, and it's quite exciting. And you're quite right that that tremendous increase has happened in so many countries around the world: South Africa, Brazil, Ukraine, Eastern Europe, and so on.
Wow.
And so, so that's exciting. And so we were so HSLDA is part of a global network of homeschooling organizations and leaders, and we've been so for many years. And it's something called the Global Home Education Exchange, which makes sense from the name. The website is ghex.world, and there's a great website there, ghex.world.
Yeah, Steph is in the background and she'll get it up for us.
Okay, yeah. So there are a number of videos on there, and recordings of past conferences. So there are being global conferences held in Germany, in Brazil, in Russia. And the next one is being planned for this coming year in July in Manchester, England. And so there'll be more information available about the upcoming conference in the weeks to come. It's just being planned at the moment. But the exciting thing is we see people come literally from all over the world. And these are homeschool leaders. These are people who are interested in homeschooling. And actually, we also have a great track that involves academic researchers who come and present academic research on home education at our global conference. And again, they're coming from all over the world too, even from places where homeschooling is quite literally illegal, places like communist China and Germany and places like that.
Wow.
There are a number of countries where it's not legal to homeschool at present, and we'd like to see that changed over time, and it's one of the things that we work towards. But in general, it's a great opportunity for leaders from countries all over the world to learn from each other. As iron sharpens iron,
Yeah.
we get better at what we do, and we're able to encourage national organizations to form and to grow and to make a difference in their country, large or small. And as I say, this involves leaders from every continent, with the exception of Antarctica, of course. Um, yeah, it's a great thing to see developing.
Yeah, it is. And I'm actually very excited to hear this, that, there are leaders out there who are pushing, um not just, the homeschooling agenda, but just the to provide the opportunity so that families can make that decision freely. Because I mean, oh, to think that you cannot educate your own children, like, it seems like a weird concept, like somebody would tell you you can't teach your children. um and I shudder to think of, all of the agendas out there that, children are just, they have to sit there and listen to it, and it's, oh, so so scary. So I am so grateful for, HSLDA and all of these leaders who are joining and coming together, to do this and to make changes, for us. And yeah, we're just praying that those numbers just double again and continue to triple and grow, and because we're not going away. We're here to stay, and we do believe in it. And yeah, if you are watching and you have questions on homeschooling, you can comment here. You can reach out to HSLDA. They are so welcoming and so helpful on answering your homeschooling questions. And was there anything else that you wanted to share today? I
Well,
know.
I would say this. I think that with this tremendous increase in the number of homeschoolers, a lot of our local support groups, co-ops, and so on, they're obviously seeing lots of people say, "Hey, I'd like to join your group too." And this, of course, creates a challenge because
Mhm.
new folks don't necessarily know how things work, and maybe they come
Right.
with different ideas. So there can be. I don't want to say tension necessarily, but there can be challenges as we kind of minister to and bring in new people. And so, as leaders, we need to be patient. In some cases, I know groups have grown so much they've literally had to form a new group. So they now have two groups so that they can
Right.
accommodate the tremendous influx of new homeschoolers. So, with that, I just encourage families to have patience and do their best to really mentor and encourage all these new families, because
Mm,
really when you're starting out, there's so much you don't know, and um, it
right.
can be, as you said at the beginning of the talk, just a little bit intimidating or even scary
Yeah.
to sort of venture down this road. And so let's be welcoming to these new families. We're
Yeah.
heading into September now, and so groups are starting to meet again. So be welcoming to the new folks and encourage them along.
Do you I can't remember, so I know, for sure, if you're looking for a homeschool conference near you, you can go to the HSLDA website, and they have a page there with that lists all of them for the upcoming year. So you can bookmark that page, and check off the ones you want to attend. Do you also let people know about the groups that may be affiliated with, that are in their province as
Yes,
well? Or, yeah,
absolutely. So if
yeah, okay.
if you look at our website or just contact HSLDA and say, hey, this is where I live and I need help finding a
Mhm.
group, we're happy to help. We want to plug people in. And the good news is if a local support group or co-op or even a provincial organization that you're a member of is affiliated with HSLDA, you get a significant discount on your
Right.
HSLDA membership. And so,
Right.
and for the groups that are out there, whether you're running if you're a leader in a group, a provincial group, a local support group, a co-op, if you want to become affiliated with HSLDA, it doesn't cost anything. we're happy to affiliate with you. And the reason we give the discount is because we so want to encourage people to get involved with their groups. You know, it is
Mhm.
possible to homeschool on your own, but there are tough days too, and having the encouragement of fellow families, fellow homeschoolers, and activities that you can do together, learning
Yep.
that you can do together on occasion, that really benefits everybody. So we want to encourage homeschool families to be joining local support groups and co-ops, and this is one of the ways we do it, is by saying, hey, we'll give you a big discount. It's roughly $40 cheaper to join HSLDA if you're a member of a local support group or co-op or a provincial organization that's affiliated with us.
That's awesome. That is so
Yeah.
good to know, and I'm making notes because I'm talking to some groups as well. So we'll be talking. So yeah, that was really good information. And again, I highly recommend reaching out to HSLDA. If you are not a member, you should be. Because like Peter said, we you can homeschool alone, but why would you, right? We're so much stronger together, and so many benefits that we can gain from one another in a group. um, Even just the Canadian Schoolhouse joining forces with HSLDA, we're just here to just gather resources for you to make you stronger, to make you more confident in your homeschooling journey. And so again, add your comments, add your questions. We're here to help you. And I'll just say thank you, Peter, for joining us today and giving us all these wonderful points and tips and links to resources that we can continue to power through.
Thank you, Christine. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we'll sign off for now, and we will be back in another 2 weeks. See you again next time.